Fnatic with a super decisive game number 1 here. We're getting ready for game number 2. And we have a lot to talk about. I mean, first off, Gilly, I just want to ask you, how do you feel about North America's approach to Fnatic in general?
Well, Jake, it's almost, I don't want to say disrespectful, but it feels borderline almost. When we look at Gale Force Esports, they didn't ban Tomb, which is far and above for as long as we've known Fnatic, their best and favorite battleground. Knowing that, okay, Fnatic's probably going to take us there, they plan a strategy, doesn't work out. It gets close, they have moments, but it is still Fnatic's map overall. And then now, it's Towers of Doom and Tempo Storm. They have to know that Chromie is always a possibility, and if it's going to counter that strategy so hard, he's now 7-0 on his Chromie as Schwimpy. So maybe it was that they were just too far down the rabbit hole with that as Minion strat in their minds, but I don't know, Tomb is still a possibility here.
So based on that logic, Tomb would be a very likely pick if it was going to be the choice on the side of Fnatic.
It's like, did Tempo decide they wanted to take the map pick or first pick? Because if it's first pick, we're going to Tomb, which in fact is going to be the case. So now, Tempo Storm, you knew this was going to happen.
Yes.
You absolutely knew this was going to happen. There has to be something in the draft that right out the gates we see, okay, well, it's well thought out. I mean, that's all you can ask for if they're going to have a shot in this next game.
It's tough. This is actually where they started to bring out the Chromie. It's going to warrant a Chromie ban at this point, but if that's your strategy, and as you said, not banning out this map in particular, I mean, at what point do you take first pick or the map pick? I mean, Fnatic has dropped 3 games on Dragonshire this season.
Yeah.
They're 1-3. It used to be what they were known for last year. Their meta has shifted, things have shifted. And it's almost like, do you try and turn the tides and take control of something like that, or do you give up what could be perceived as their best map?
It should be remembered, though, that this is also a good battleground for Tomb the Spider, or for obviously Tomb the Spider Queen, but Tempo Storm. That Tempo has picked this before too. It is still a comfort place for them, but I would still be scared against Fnatic here.
It legitimately feels like Fnatic created Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Right.
Like, to be honest, like it does. It's actually gross how good they are at this map. So what is going to be the first pick here for Tempo Storm? Going to the Tomb of the Spider Queen? I'm guessing by the lack of dominant first pick here on the side of Tempo, already they didn't expect that ban to come out of Fnatic. They expected to have them Malfurion. So I'm guessing they're trying to gauge, is the Tassadar worth it in this position? Because again, they had to know this, right? Like we went over this, the calculation had to be there. So not getting that snap first lock-in.
The last couple times they've played this, they've gone Zarya. And I remember that epic Zarya game that you guys casted where Zarya made it to 20.
You cannot give Fnatic the opportunity to go Tassadar and Leoric on this map. It makes me want to vomit in my mouth how impressive they are with it. It's just like, I can't even watch this game. It's so hard to see anybody counter these strategies. A lot of the times when it's just Fnatic on this map, they're going with ETC. They aren't going in either of those directions.
So they've given up Tassadar, which is a very rare thing in this competition in general. I think Tempo might be the only other team that's been able to play Tassadar in this tournament at the Western Clash. But also the Chromie's still here. You mentioned the Leoric. That wouldn't even need to be picked up this early. And if that was forced for a later ban, I mean, that's already a problem.
I think this might just be a Volatas if they want to go that route.
Is it saying that we would rather play against a Volatas as opposed to a potential Chromie? Like, we dare you to take this.
Hard. Val Azul. More wave clear added to the party here. Oh man, Tass was let through though. Tempo.
So one thing we got to look at here, the moment you see Zul, is we did see GFE attempt to do Zul paired with Lucio in the winner's side of this bracket. Since Zul doesn't see a lot of play but does thrive on this map, I mean, what are the chances, Gilly, you think we could see Lucio?
It would be late in the draft, and it is dependent on what Tempo Storm picks. Tempo already having ETC, that's one hero that you would generally like cleanse against. But yeah, I think it depends further where Tempo Storm goes with their draft from that.
I'm trying to figure out where Tempo either is going to be moving into the Tass or they're going to go to Zarya. I don't think they Tass Zarya here. Their damage output would be, in my opinion, too low, and it doesn't commit enough to the wave clear that is already insane here on the side of Fnatic. They go neither. They're going to let these through. So Tempo is shifting heavily their draft. They are not looking towards the thing that we normally see in North America. Zarya is legitimately almost a must in the front half of the rotation here for Tempo in North America. So we do see changes. The question is, is really going to be, are they the proper changes once we get through this draft?
And they're making sure that they have a cleanse. Should Chromie be an issue, but they may even just want to ban her. We'll have to see. Fnatic looking at a Gul'dan ban, though.
Yeah, I think the Gul'dan ban fits a lot of what Tempo Storm likes to do. They like to have that wave clear, they like to have that damage on the back line. It puts you back into something like Li Ming as opposed to a Gul'dan, and you get this kind of different dynamic when you go that route. And you guys talked about there's finally the Tassadar ban. Are they willing to commit? That seems like Wubby would be on the Zool with Quacknix on the Vala potentially, although that's been a Schwempy play at times. Is Chromie still at play with this comp? Chromie plus Zool was, when it first came out, it's like, hey guys, look at this free bomb I get to drop on somebody because of that bone prison.
With amplified damage.
With
at level 16.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Again, it forces a cleanse. The same thing that Dread talked about with Varian is that it forces a cleanse. Bone Prison is not on a very long cooldown. It forces that cleanse, then you could potentially go Temporal Loop. There's a lot of options there if you can bait that out. I mean, you just have to deal with stuff like that.
Am I the only one that feels really tense in this draft right now?
No, we all
feeling
very much. Does Fnatic want to commit more to the wave clear is what I'm trying to figure out. I think they're actually going to go Lucio. I'm pretty confident that last pick will be Lucio as long as there is not a absolute must for something else for Fnatic. Do they want to go with something like the Johanna, though?
Yeah, it's the only map
heavier
where
into
they
the wave clear.
Prioritize her. Medivh.
There it is. Okay, so it's going to be the Lucio. I thought they would wait for the last pick, but the Medivh actually buys time for that. It legitimately just goes, we don't even need the cleanse. We'll make, the Force of Will would be stop the bleeding there on the Hyper Burst if you move into that in that rotation. And then hiding there going to be the last pick of what they want. I talked about it at the very beginning. Lucio and Zool together, I think, are a very terrifying unit. I thought Lucio overall would actually just spike universal, not even just as a duo, like the value of Zool, purely because usually heavy melees work with Zool, and that means they lack in wave clear, so it's a direct counter. But this draft, man, and no matter what last pick I feel like I see out of Fnatic, I feel like their draft is so powerful. So Tempo, what are they going to do? They can't commit to the lockdown. With the ETC, there maybe a Gina to try and just instant burst, but again, Zool's going to do so well at that. So you want to say, well, then you can't kill them, match their wave clear. Right. The answer is you cannot do that.
The Leoric on the side of Tempo Storm here.
Okay, just go back to yesterday.
Oh, man.
The late game Bloodlust comp out of Fnatic.
Dread has walked off the desk.
Dread has left the building.
Fnatic Tempo Storm has 13 levels to win this game. Otherwise, they are going into a Medivh Lucio, who post 16 has probably some of the best AoE healing, 20 nearly unstoppable, not even considering her as heroic, and they have no damage considering they move to the direction of a double warrior and Sylvanas is their backline. Tychus is the only damage to get through any of these heroes on the side of Fnatic, and with Medivh Lucio, I don't think it's there. My first thought is like, well, maybe they can make up for that in wave clear, but in that department, they don't have it either. So the only thing I see Tempo to gain the early lead in this game, which I feel like they very much are going to need now, is a very creative laning strategy, which it only works whenever you have dominant wave clear. And they do not have that. So I feel like, again, Tempo has set themselves significantly behind just starting in the draft.
What are we looking at to where now both North American teams who have come in with something very much established in their own region have now come up against Fnatic and have completely thrown out the book. They're thinking, we have something different we want to try. And none of it's working, and it doesn't seem like it fits what we know them to be.
Well, it is a best of 5, so it is a far more adaptive type series than a best of 3, which is where we saw Gale Force Esports go in and go up against. And they, granted, like I did talk about, the Tomb game, it was risky to play Tomb versus Fnatic, but there were moments, and even 20 was achieved faster by Gale Force Esports. But yeah, here it does look scary, but they do have to try to make some adaptations. At least Tempo feels that.
There is one huge redeeming quality to Tempo Storm's draft, and that is the whole game goes sour. They somehow make it to Tomb of the Spider Queen very late game. They go 20 on 20. Any kill can end the game because they have Sylph. That is the biggest redeeming quality I see out of all of Tempo's draft.
We'll see if that Sylph power comes into play. We are ready to begin game number 2 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Take it away, Trick and Grubby.
Welcome to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Fnatic taking on Tempo Storm, game number 2. Grubby, before we get started, what do you think about this draft?
I mean, it's so cool to see this coming out here from Fnatic. You can be sure that they prepared this before. And yet, the first time we saw Lucio was also with Zool, but by Gale Force Esports against Fnatic. Now, in that case, Fnatic had the better level 20. They had a Bloodlust comp with Vala's Farflight Quiver. We had Tassadar with Twilight Archon. Their level 20 was insane. Now, big question is, we've got these two wave clear teams juxtaposed against each other in Fnatic and Tempo Storm. Question is, who has the better level 20? Dreadnought mentioned, Sylvanas blowing someone up, late game kills can be a huge deal. Yes, Wailing Arrow. But I don't look at Tempo Storm and say their level 20 is absolutely insane. They do get Big Red Button.
And Spectral Leech, which can be pretty exciting.
And maybe they go Bloodlust. But on the other hand, you've got Vala's Farflight Quivers. He's pretty mad at level 20 as well.
See how Tempo Storm intends to handle this pressure from Fnatic, as Fnatic will begin dealing with their lanes. Quacknix is actually down here on the bottom as Vala's Mexi helping out here with Lucio to deal with that pressure from Psalm there on Leoric, so solid wave clear there. Zul has started the rotation, the name of the game that you know so well if you play Zul in Hero League. Ignore your teammates, run middle lane, run top lane, and get experience consistently.
Well, for now we see this big 5-man grouping by Tempo Storm. I kind of like that they're bringing all hands on deck, all 5 of them. Maybe give up a footman of XP in bottom or top lane, but in this way they counteract kind of the dominance of Zul in standard 3 to 4-man rotations. And they have kind of thrown off Fnatic's tempo of really moving as a unit. There's a lot of separate members of Fnatic, North and South. And Tempo Storm is making themselves strong. 5 fingers to a fist. They meet once again in the middle as 5.
Well, speaking about tempo, level 1 talent for Lucio is maximum tempo here. So getting 5 kills while Crossfade speed boost is active will allow for the speed boost to increase to 60% when it is activated. So watch out for that as Fnatic will be looking to get picks as soon as they can here. In fact, they're looking for one down here on Psalm. And with the fantastic body block by Breeze and Burrow Charge, they will secure that kill.
And this was a little while in the making already. With those 5-man rotations, Tempo Storm kept sending a single Leoric or Rhaegar to the bottom lane. And Quacknix as Vala was pelting away with her arrows there. And they kept finding it difficult to move through this choke here, which is generally why you don't see bottom to mid rotations. This little place here, that boost, that is very hard to go through without getting attacked by the opponent. And Fnatic abused that. They got that kill on Leoric. First blood once again to them.
Heads up play by Fnatic. Medivh will show up to help Zul with the escape there as they get some pressure on Tychus. Back to top lane for Zul, but some slight turn-ins happening already. Leoric trying to prevent the turn-in from Breeze. It is 9 gems, but again, they do stack up after some time, so bring in Harass while you can be helpful. Cattle is actually making a big rotation. 4 people down for Tempo Storm as they head towards the bottom left, looking for a takedown on Quacknix. Should be able to escape, especially with the aid of Smexy. That speed boost being very helpful.
Tempo Storm found some space. They cleared the bottom lane quickly. They're going to try and make use of that by paying some gems. They will get some gems.
Few to both teams here, 20 on the purse of Tempo Storm, but a few more turned in for Fnatic. Been doing a better job of dropping off gems, but also picking them up as they are having a little bit over 40 available for them, 44 to be exact, as that continues to climb on up. Sylvanas is in the top lane being left alone for a little bit as Tempo Storm is just trying to find a handle on these rotations. Attempting to get a couple of pickoffs maybe. Cathan tries to go for the dodge on the Bone Prison, but missed it. Cathan with the big spike. Wubby taking him out. Another pick potentially here in the middle as Leoric is going to be falling victim to Fnatic as well.
The Carset Strike by Zul actually has a big sweeping range in front of him, and he hit the gate to get that area of effect damage on Sylvanas. It was a very close moment. He activated Haunting Wave just a little bit too soon to be able to use the unstoppable effect of the flying through the Haunting Wave spirit and having that Bone Prison by Zul disjointed. It clipped him at the very end of it.
Yeah, it's
and
a
locked
small
him in
amount of frames.
place.
It's pretty difficult to actually connect with that. Cathan just under pressure, just slightly missing out on it. Gem turn-in is very close for Fnatic as they need only 10 more to be dropped off, so they're applying pressure.
Big rotation here by Fnatic. The Bone Prison comes out. A Nubrak was in place, but it's not going to be needed to bring a Nubrak here. The kill has already been confirmed.
And this should open up Fnatic to drop a turn-in. 9 in for Wubby. They'll need 1 more after that to secure those 50 gems available and set themselves up for a turn-in. They could posture for a little bit here and wait to get towards level 8, level 9, so they can hit 10 off the push, but nonetheless, they're in a solid spot. There goes Breeze, finally dropping his own gems. June is attempting to grab Giants by himself as Rhaegar, just to help mitigate this pressure coming their way. It's pretty obvious that Fnatic will be getting Web Weavers.
Blue Web Weavers are descending. They have mid pressure here by Fnatic, after which they can decide to go top or bottom together. Oh, big power slide coming in. Fury trying to set someone up. Smexy uses the portal to get away.
close. Webweavers come out. Big cleave coming in once again. Breeze helping out with Fury. He's low on health. June going for the bite. Quacknix might fall. Oh, the last second force of will. And Psalm was attempting to get the kill with Drain Hope, but the boot from Smexy will save him. But nonetheless, Tempo Storm can now focus on clearing these Webweavers. One in the middle, one on the top, and one in the bottom. Psalm in trouble though, as Schwimpy's going for a takedown.
That was pretty close, pretty close. Well done by Psalm, landing that Drain Hope quickly on the Nubrak to save himself. We see the continued abuse of this alley here. This alley. Tempo Storm is not allowed to make use of their own side of the map to travel from mid to bot. They're going to have to take the very long way around because Fnatic is not permitting it. Their experience on Tomb of the Spider Queen is showing here, Trickster.
Yeah, the strength of Medivh makes that possible. A portal at any point could save the Nubrak from getting in trouble, so they continue to keep it up. A big portal in as they move in onto Psalm. He's already used his Wraith Walk, so he could be low on health. There goes the heal from June. June low on mana and Psalm low on health. Could mean this fort could be forfeited. However, Fnatic takes the opportunity to continue their rotations. They're playing hyper-aggressive, it feels like. Not really setting up to grab forts, but to continually get picks and put Tempo Storm so behind in experience that when Fnatic hits 10, they'll have nearly a full level lead.
Yeah, Leoric is getting bullied here, but it was really good jukes and dodges by Psalm. Managed to stay alive on Leoric and kind of stave off the apocalypse of being too far behind early on.
Fury, Bone Prison, knock up as well. Here's the extra damage too. Fury will finally be able to power slide. Portal and Breeze looking for an engage, but nothing will be available.
I'm looking for the best way to play the game here for Tempo Storm, and I think they're doing it right. Grabbing more camps is going to buy time and buy a little bit of space at other sides of the map. But look at this aggression. You're hardstoning on your own bruiser camp and you're not safe? Fnatic, please.
Unfortunate for June. He will be able to get away, but still, yes, that puts fear in your eyes. You know, you're on my side of the battleground, but yet my opponent isn't afraid to bring aggression towards me.
How many times in your scrims do you think you have an Nubrak and a Medivh invading a captured bruiser camp?
I would say not very often.
That
can throw you off your game too, because now you doubt every single move you do. You suddenly have to move as a unit, which means the map can be opened up more for Fnatic, and when they have Azul, they can apply that pressure everywhere. Tempo Storm has achieved level 10, and they've only lost one fort, so all is good when you think about where we are in the mid-game, but they're going to need to turn up the pressure a little bit and start dealing with the pressure coming their way.
We have Mosh Pit, Odin, Ancestral Healing, Wailing Arrow, and the Tomb coming out. There goes the Tomb on Quacknix. It's good. Sound Barrier comes out, Portal as well.
Oh, big ley line seal. Cattle's being focused. The Ancestral Healing from June does connect. Breeze on the right side. He's being bodied by June, attempting to live, but finally gets focused. The Wailing Arrow does come out. Chthon's working in some damage, but Cattle was unable to auto-attack from the position that he was in, so no damage was followed up, and Fnatic will walk away with one takedown.
Interestingly, when you land the 4-man Wailing Arrow and you hit Lucio as well and he's silenced, the Crossfade speed boost is still active, which allows the team of Fnatic to get away from it. It seems like a very powerful counter to a silence. It's an ability, but it's still active because it's a passive one.
Yeah.
They're able to get away from that difficult situation. They take down the Rhaegar, who did a heroic job of saving Odin. Tempo Storm is unable to really follow up on Entomb, with the portals being as good as they are.
And I also want you to note the sound barrier. When it got popped off, when Quacknix was actually isolated by the Entomb, the Force of Will came in to ensure that, one, that sound barrier did connect, and two, their Vala did not fall victim to anything and were allowed to get that heal and then set up and move out of that Entomb. So watch for that combination to constantly happen. I think one of the best things Tempo Storm can do is try to grab multiple people in that Entomb and then focus down the target that doesn't get the Force of Will. Another dive behind a fort. Cattle in trouble. There's a Bone Prison. Perfect cleanse from June. Fury helping out with appealing, but the fort taking damage here in the middle.
Breeze goes in and out of the portal like it's his playground. And the next portal should be available again soon. Leoric lockdown. Sometimes Bone Prison will just be used to force out abilities and to get in a more advanced position.
Watching Fury and Mosh Pit will have to be key for Tempo Storm, I feel like, with a Wailing Arrow to follow up, prevent anything from being saved. Psalm in trouble once again. Bone Prison does connect. Gems being dropped. Fury will be able to grab them, but 50 gems currently on Fury. But they still have to deal with the Webweaver at the top, and there's one more in the bottom, still pushing towards their keeps.
This could be one of the first series where all games so far are flawless. We have a 6-0 takedown. All fortifications still up for Fnatic after a 40-0 Towers of Doom core HP game here. Fnatic is looking so scary.
Fnatic just seems to be on another level this tournament. They're prepared in all different fashions. They've had a variety in hero choices. Their strategy has been varied as well. If they continue to keep this up, man, you can definitely assume that they might make it to the grand finals. Regardless, Tempo Storm can still be in this. This is a best of 5. They still have a chance in this game number 2 to make a play. I'm watching Psalm. I'm watching the ETC. Any substantial mosh pits could be devastating to break Fnatic apart.
Yeah, there have been few tournaments in the history of esports that have been won by a team that did not evolve during the course of a tournament. It's always important to learn from what is happening and to try and rise above the occasion and get better. Tempo Storm so far is finding things difficult, but they need to start trying to learn from the situation and see what they can do. The first step on the way to recovery could be to land a very good mosh pit. Interrupts include Anubarak's abilities and Leyline Seal, Lucio's wall ride into his Q, which pushes people back. That's 3 different heroes they can interrupt. These need to be dealt with, either with Wailing Arrow or the mosh pit itself. Tempo Storm could be on the way to a comeback.
The other route, too, is to work the objective. They finally get a turn in here, and they still have more gyms available. If they can get an excellent engage here, maybe get a pick off, or at least take down a fort, they can follow up with another turn in, and that could help them open up the map and tie up an experience. However, Fnatic was poised to have a great defense, already fighting here in the middle. Psalm moving down to half health. June will be there for the heals. Turrets finally taking damage, and this is where Sylvanas does excel.
For the first time in this game, there is a push against Fnatic's fortifications. Indeed, Cotton Lock doing finally with Sylvanas what he's meant to be doing, but Medivh is sharking around there on that bird.
That's the problem. Shwimpy sharking around is enough of a threat to prevent Tempo Storm from making an aggressive play. You can't do it. You have to respect the bird. Bird is the word in this scenario here. If a portal drops at any point, Breeze can move forward and then go for an extra dive as well. The engage distance is insane when you have a Medivh on the field. So Tempo Storm forced to respect it. They didn't get much on the middle for it. They got a couple of turrets. The bottom fort yet has even lost any health here. It still has max ammo as well. Weaver gets cleaned up. Tempo Storm is just hurting right now.
Did you know that Medivh in Raven form can actually use /taunt to start taunting the opponent?
No, that's a good thing for you to tell me, though, because I definitely will use it more often. I get bored up there.
You'll be like flying over the opponent, and you're like, yours is a transparent stratagem. It's like, really? It's like...
Grubby teaching me the ways to tilt my opponent. It's a strategy, you know? It might be kind of mean, but it's definitely a strategy. Big turn-in from Fnatic. 16-14. They have a push in the top, middle, and bottom. They're a little over halfway over the map. Tempo Storm so frightened right now with Medivh floating around and them being down a talent tier. They're sitting in their base. The pressure from Fnatic is just noticeable as Breeze freely goes to the top left corner and grabs the bush.
Lucio at level 16 has picked, while Amp It Up is active, Crossfade's healing boost for a max percentage HP of 3%. Rejuvenaciencia, pretty strong ability with high health heroes. Anubarak and Zul are pretty good with that. Healing is going to be insane. It's a talent lead here for Fnatic. They're pushing forward very confidently, looking to do some real and lasting damage on the mid keep here, finding an angle while trying to avoid a monster mosh pit.
Yeah, best case scenario for Tempo Storm here is to get 16.
Fancy!
Their keeps. June in trouble though, the big portal over the wall. Fancy indeed, Grubby, as they get a pick off on Rhaegar. Here goes a mosh pit on Zul. It's an isolated mosh pit, but it's enough to give you experience and get a takedown.
Yeah, first blood here for Tempo Storm. A nice find there on Zul. He missed the portal. He arrived late. Now trying to go for additional targets here. Hungering Arrow misses.
Tempo Storm does lose a keep in the bottom, and their top keep is in danger of falling as well. Strafe has popped off. Fury will stop the Strafe to save his keep there, but he may pay with his life, and he does. Breeze dives in. Kathan on the right side. Can he grab the gem? Psalm does grab the gem. He does hold, but
look at that speed boost that Lucio offers after the sound barrier. The engage. Odin gets away, but at what cost? 2 keeps are down, and Fnatic will just get out of here having done their job.
Tempo Storm just hitting 16, but down 2 keeps are hurting for a victory now. Now, do note they have 94 gems that they have yet to turn in. Fnatic charging towards the boss. If they can get wind of it, they can harass this and potentially stop it from happening. ETC, however, does not have stage dive. He has mosh pit, so you have to play safe around this. Make sure not to overextend. Some getting poked here with the Hungering Arrow, but the victory in itself is pulling Fnatic away from that boss.
Smart disengage by Fnatic. They don't want to risk it all on giving the game back a little and throwing at the boss. They've gone back and they're pretty much scratching the surface here of reaching level 20. Zul is applying additional pressure on the map. And it's not enough for Tempo Storm to get 1 kill. They need to do a pretty good team fight pre-level 20.
Channel chasing Zul. Will get away with the bone armor. Smexy will heal him up. Same time, Tempo Storm trying to work in some gems here. 1, baiting a team fight on Fnatic, but 2, also to get the turn in. There's a big portal showing a possible engage.
Nothing coming through, but you gotta respect that portal.
Fnatic's taking damage at the same time. There's a big concave actually set up very well here for Tempo Storm. The tomb comes out and hits Shrimpy, but he'll just portal away. Breeze will be focused down, but here comes the Force of Will with the erosion. They're good to go. Fury goes to the power slide. Doesn't really connect though. He's getting low on health. The strafe bringing members down. Tempo Storm in trouble. Arrow comes out. There's Leyline Seal. Cattle in the back right. Ancestral popping out, but 2 members already down.
Rhaegar, June, he's trying to get away. He's gonna get taken down as well. Fnatic is hungry for more here. It's a 5 versus 2 situation. There's catapults on the core. Shields are gone. And Fnatic is looking to end it here and make it a 2-0. Even the hulking war machine of Odin cannot stop the bloodlust here of Fnatic as the core drops to 40%, 30%, and Fnatic takes a near flawless game number 2.
Lucio breaking it down, not just the ability, but also the core. Fnatic walking away with a victory there. 2-0 over Tempo Storm. 1 more, and they will walk away with an overall victory. But remember, this is a best of 5. If you are Tempo Storm right now, what are you telling yourself to get back in this series?
I mean, every map by itself.
Yes,
I mean,
the standard things you would say, we got this, we got to pull it in.
take it 1 by 1. That's all you can do.
You got to dive deep in yourself and make sure that you handle what's coming your way. But right now, Fnatic just seems to be on another level, you know?
Yeah, but you know, Tempo Storm, they know themselves best. If there's anything they've done so far in this series, which is experimental, which is out of the ordinary, which is away from their comfort zone, it's time to consolidate your strategies, your mindset, your teamwork, and say, let's just do us. And let's just start going for some plays that we are used to, because their planning, their preparations, their estimations, they have come to naught so far. They have not paid off. Now they have to go back to their base self. You cannot thrive through 3 consecutive games and win all 3 by tricks. Yeah. It's got to be your fundamental self, the truest version of yourself. And if they haven't shown that yet, if they haven't gone Super Saiyan, it's time to bring it out.
Yeah, it's definitely time. If you want us to believe in you, you got to believe in yourselves. Well, let's go to our expert analysis desk and find out what they think about that match.
You know, I think Grubby hit the nail on the head there. Just, they're not playing their comfort stuff. They're not playing within their own meta. They're trying to adjust. They're trying to craft this new style versus Fnatic. And Fnatic is well prepared for everything.
Yeah, very clean game from Fnatic, showing off the power of Lucio as well. Really enjoyed that build, especially, man, once he got into the late game, lots of healing from him.
So much healing from Lucio.
Dread said it, I think, during the draft before, is that Tomb of the Spider Queen is Fnatic's map. I mean, they just showed they can do whatever they want. You talked about they have control of their meta. I mean, right now, Fnatic just feels like on another level.
I think it starts with the draft. Like, I think, don't get me wrong, I do think Fnatic is the better team, but it is, we had a shutout game, a near shutout game. A solo mosh pit was the only reason a single kill happened on that last game. Like, those are draft, like colossal draft errors, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Fnatic is an amazing team, but these drafts are a large reason why Tempo's in this position. And even looking at that last game, they drafted a lot of what they do. There was a couple of changes, like having the Leoric is unlike Tempo Storm, so that adjustment. But overall, they are playing heroes they're comfortable with, and it's just the priority of them is colossally changing in my opinion, in a negative way.
Well, let's take a look at some of those moments in game number 2 of this series to see where it was so powerful for Fnatic. I mean, we saw a lot of great stuff from Medivh. Let's look at this fight here in the mid lane. Now the top lane, because Medivh.
When we talk about power, can we just say it's everywhere? Everywhere they wanted to push the advantage they could. This is where the mosh pit happens that Dread was talking about. But, I mean, what do you really make of that?
You know, it's trying to make something happen. You know, if anybody else had moved through the portal, it would have crippled, you know, more heroes. So I see the play, but it's like we're sitting at a point where so many structures have already been taken, so many things have already happened that it's just near impossible for these fights to be successful on the side of Tempo.
Yeah, it seems like just another day at the office for Fnatic, really. Like
Yeah.
the synergy that has come in from them and has been there all tournament long for Fnatic makes them a terrifying opponent.
I mean, we can just narrow down Schwimpy and talk about him for a bit because game number 1, we saw the Chromie. I mean, Chromie went to town. He's known for that hero. Game number 2, Medivh. He turned that map into just, you know, each wall was not a stepping stone for them. They were across the map, and it was insane. The leyline seals just cleaning up team fights left and right. I looked at one of the first fights where Leoric, you saw Leoric completely nullified. He entombed Vala. Vala was strafing. Portal got dropped down. I didn't even know you could go through a portal while strafing. It's just like, man, he's just got every option covered.
Yeah, and he's very comfortable with the Medivh into the Leoric combo. It's the first time we actually got to see Schwimpy, I think, ever play the Medivh, at least internationally. He did it at BlizzCon, and he ran it into the Leoric, had so many saves on every Entomb target. It was just ridiculous. This last fight was beautiful. Quackness is going to get saved, get the vault. He's going to be just fine. And then at that point, you know, the damage. Look at the HP difference between these teams.
Or Cattle, the lone wolf at that point. Does get back, but these leyline seals, just like you said, Jake, were incredible all game long. Schwimpy has been showing up, not just at this tournament. All of HGC, he's been showing up. He is the most flexible for the team, running 13 unique heroes. It's the most. It's tied with Snitch.
When we watch Schwimpy on Medivh, I think of like Moses meets Elsa. Not only does he part the sea, but he freezes the sea by locking them in place.
I mean, I respect your attempt.
I don't even know what that means.
I think you nailed it. I'll give it to you. Yeah.
Thanks,
I think,
Trent.
yeah,
Thanks,
no,
Trent.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
All right, well, that puts 2-0 here in favor of Misfits in this series right now. I even got production laughing in my ear. We're going to be going to game number 3, and right now this is tournament point here for Misfits to move on into that top 4, or excuse me, for Fnatic to join Misfits in that top 4. We'll be back with game 3 in just a few.
Hold on to hope. It will not abandon